Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Injuries at the Point podcast. I am your host, Tyler Aaron. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, it is at TylerAaron65, or you can follow the show's Instagram or Twitter at PenguinsFan65. And in today's episode, we will talk about, is the Robo Penguin logo finally returning? That's what we'll talk about in the first segment, along with some rumors about the Penguins Winter Classic jerseys. In the next segment, we will talk about what can we expect from the Penguins coaching staff after these extensions, and then we will wrap up this episode with who will take the last spot in the Penguins forward core this season. And that is all coming up right after this drop.
Slap me, silly Sydney. Oh, save my face with a rusty razor. Oh, Murphy and the fans will plant him like a butcher's dog. Oh, let's go hunt moose on a Harley. Oh, scratch my back with a hat. As he beats Theodore like a rated mule. Ladies and gentlemen, you got it. Elvis has just left the building.
Welcome back to the Injuries at the Point podcast. I am your host, Tyler Aaron. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, it is at TylerAaron65, or you can follow the show's Instagram or Twitter at PenguinsFan65. And in today's first segment here, we are going to talk about, is the Robo Penguin logo finally returning? And then later in the segment, we will talk about some updates on the 2022 Winter Classic jerseys for the Penguins. So, if you didn't know already, yesterday on Fanatics, on NHL Fanatics and Dick's Sporting Goods website, they released t-shirts of all 32 teams with the reverse retro logos on it. Now, they took them down after a few hours of them being on there, because I guess they didn't want them to be on there quite yet. But so the Penguins was a black t-shirt that says Pittsburgh Penguins on it, and it has the Robo Penguin logo. If you don't know what the Robo Penguin logo is, it is the Emperor Penguin logo back from the mid-90s. And the logo was on those Pittsburgh diagonal jerseys from the 90s. Like our alternate has our alternate patch with the golden stick. That was the logo on the shoulders, and also the nice black gradient jerseys that we used to have that logo on. That is what we like to call the Robo Penguin logo, because it's so vintage, and Penguin fans have been waiting so long for this logo to return, and I am very excited for this to happen. Mario Lemieux, the reason why the Robo Penguin never came back is when Mario Lemieux took over the team, he actually doesn't like the Robo Penguin logo. I don't understand why, but I think why they're bringing it back is because we're under new management. The Fenway Sports Group as our new owner, even though Lemieux still owns a smaller stake into the franchise now. It's their call. It's their direction. I'm very happy with the Emperor. Based on what I know, it is going to be a black jersey, so it won't be a white jersey this time on the reverse retro. The reverse retro should be coming out relatively soon. It could be any day, any week. I think it will happen September 1st or November 1st, one of the two. I know November 1st is one of the big dates for the reverse retro jersey. I believe it could be released on November 1st, or that would be the date that they go on sale. It just depends on what NHL and Adidas wants to do with these. But overall, I'm very excited when it comes to the Emperor / Robo Penguin logo. And I can't wait to see what these jerseys are going to look like with the Emperor logo. I'm thinking that they might, I don't know if you remember the white ones that has like those triangle striping things on the jersey. I think that they'll do something with that, or they can go like our old navy blue Winter Classic jerseys, make that black and gold, and throw the Emperor Penguin logo on that. I have no idea what the Penguins are going to do. I just know that based on these leaks and all this stuff happening, this is going to happen. And also another thing with the reverse retro jerseys is we already know the Fenway Sports Group is trying to bring back these 90s style jerseys. I mean, we saw with last versions of reverse retro 1.0 with the white Pittsburgh diagonals, and then our new alternate jersey being a black version of those. So we obviously know that Fenway Sports Group is putting us into a vintage front with those 90 style jerseys. And I'm very curious to see what they will do with a Robo Penguin jersey as the front crest on these reverse retro 2.0 jerseys. Now, another thing I don't know is this year a whole bunch of NHL teams are wearing advertisements on their sweaters this year. So the Penguins are wearing Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield on their jersey, usually right where, like, if a team makes it to the finals, where they usually put that patch. That's where that's going. I don't know if they'll be on these reverse retro jerseys. I don't imagine they would be, because the reverse retro jerseys are not cut in prime green. So I have no idea what they're going to do. And so that is all I have to say on the Robo Penguin front of our reverse retros. And now I'm going to get into the rumors of the 2022 Winter Classic jerseys for the Penguins. So the Penguins have been in two previous Winter Classics before. The first ever Winter Classic back in 2008 with the Buffalo Sabres, and they threw it back to their old original jerseys with the baby blue jerseys. And then in 2011, when they played against the Washington Capitals in Heinz Field, and they went back to those original jerseys as well, but they went in a navy blue style, back at what the Penguins used to wear. So, based on what I know about the 2022 Winter Classic jerseys, is it looks like the Penguins are bringing back some throwback jerseys. The Penguins' president of business operations, Kevin Acklin, said in an interview, "I think the fans are going to love the jersey that we selected for the Winter Classic on January 2nd in Boston." So it appears to be the Penguins will be throwing a throwback jersey again this time around, but they'll be throwing it way back. So immediately what I think is, they're going to be blue jerseys again, like the powdered blue and the navy blue. Probably be like a cream jersey or something with blue on it. But based on what I've read and stuff, is the jerseys that the Penguins are going to wear in the Winter Classic is not actually going to be from the Penguins franchise. Like, what I mean is, like, the Vancouver Canucks already has their reverse retro jersey already leaked, and they're honoring the Johnny Canuck, which is the previous franchise of the Vancouver Canucks back before the Canucks became into the NHL. That's what they're doing. From what I've read, that's what the Penguins are doing here. So I've been looking into previous teams who have played in Pittsburgh. The AHL team of the Detroit Red Wings, I think it was the Pittsburgh Yellow Jackets, I think at one point. I don't think that they're throwing it that back, but there are two old teams that I think that we could be throwing this back to, and that is the old NHL franchise of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and a team who played in Pittsburgh back in the 20s and 30s called the Pittsburgh Shamrocks. So with the Pirates, I don't know if it is a like actual logo or anything on the front, but What I think it could be is the Penguins word mark. Excuse me, the Pirates word mark back when they were in the NHL, but it would spell out Penguins going across the front. I know, I mean we've seen in the past that Pittsburgh just likes putting Pittsburgh across, but the Pittsburgh Pirates word mark saying Penguins going across it, or like something like that, or what I think that the Penguins could do if they aren't bringing back the blue, if they want to stick to the black and gold, what I think that the Penguins could do is do the Pittsburgh Shamrocks design. What it was it said Pittsburgh going around in like a half circle, and then underneath the word Pittsburgh it was a shamrock. So what I think it could be is saying Pittsburgh like that in like the top half of a circle, and then the Penguin logo, and then do some like crazy striping on like the arms and the bottom of the jersey. That's what I think the Penguins can do. All what I know is they're throwing it way, way back. And it could be before the Penguins even became a franchise. And so that is going to do it with this first segment. Is the Robo Penguin potentially returning, and some rumors and stuff about the Winter Classic jersey. So coming up in the next segment, we are going to talk about what can we expect for the Penguins coaching staff after these extensions. And that is coming up right after this. Alright, I am back here at the Yinzers at the Point podcast. I am your host, Tyler Aaron. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, it is at TylerAaron65, or you can follow the show's Twitter at PenguinsFan65. And in this segment, we will talk about what can we expect from the Penguins coaching staff. So I'm going to go one by one, starting with Mike Sullivan, then I'll go to new associate coach Todd Reardon and assistant coach Mike Vellucci. And so starting off with Mike Sullivan, expect this to be one of Mike Sullivan's more successful seasons. He is a very steadily coach in the NHL and is easily considered as one of the top coaches in the NHL. Since he joined the Penguins, he has never had a point percentage below .610, and he recently passed Dan Bylsma as the winningest coach in team history. These past couple of seasons have not necessarily been Mike Sullivan's fault. The team for the last few seasons have been very injury prone, and it is a bummer that Sullivan has never been nominated for a Jack Adams Award, because what he can do with the Penguins each season, with the injury battles we go through and all that stuff, it is a shame that he's never won this award. And so, just to keep that one short and sweet, next I'm going to move to associate coach Todd Reardon. Todd Reardon has been able to get the most out of the defense. Just by coaching the defense last year, Chris Letang, career season for him, even putting up those kind of numbers at the age of 35. But Mike Matheson, look at what he was in Florida. Look at him here. He was the second best defenseman for the Penguins last season. Unfortunately, was the main trade chip to Montreal for Jeff Petrie. Sad to see him go. But look at what he did to Mike Matheson, and even a season prior to this with Cody Ceci. Phenomenal, pretty much revived his career when Todd Reardon got to him, and then we couldn't afford him and he got overpaid in free agency. But with Matheson and Ceci, they found their ground here in Pittsburgh. Easily reclaimed their game a bit. Easily one of the best defensemen over the last few seasons. And now it isn't really placed on Reardon, but designing his by the defense, it's amazing. I'm very excited to see what Reardon can do with these new defensemen, hopefully reviving Jeff Petrie, a bit like what we saw with Martin St. Louis when he came in to coach Montreal last year. Ty Smith and Jan Ruda. So, lastly, I'm going to talk about assistant coach Mike Vellucci, see what he can do. He's really handled the defense and the penalty kill a bit. He pretty much oversaw it. He was pretty much our offensive coach, and then our penalty kill. He was probably the biggest reason why the Penguins were in the top 3 in penalty kill last year. Like just last season alone, the Penguins finished the season with an 84.43% on the penalty kill and ranked 3rd in the league in that category. That is amazing. That's pretty much 84.5%. So that is absolutely amazing what he did to our penalty kill. Surely we've lost a bunch of penalty killers over this season, such as Zach Aston Reese, Evan Rodriguez, just to name a few. Maybe even before the season, maybe Teddy Bluger. Depends on what his situation is going to be. And it's just been amazing to see that the Penguins, which don't take many penalties last year, the Penguins finished second in total penalty minutes last year. Second in the least amount of penalty minutes. Dallas, I think, had 551, which was first. Pittsburgh was second, like 566. So, we never took penalties. And when we did, our PK was on point because of Mike Vellucci. So, I expect the same from the penalty kill this season. We've seen Brian Rust play on the penalty kill a lot, so back when he first started in the NHL, so he can be a guy, maybe even Jeff Carter. We'll see what the penalty kill will look like this season. And basically with this staff, I think we are ready to make it to win a playoff series. Not just make the playoffs, but win a series and make it to that second round. So that is all I have on what we can expect with the Penguins coaching staff. And coming up in the last segment, we will talk about who will take the last spot in the Penguins forward core for the season. That is all coming up right after this. All right, I am back here on the Yinzers at the Point podcast. I am your host, Tyler Aaron. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, it is at TylerAaron65. Or you can follow the show's Instagram or Twitter at PenguinsFan65. And here in the last segment, we will talk about who will take that last spot in the Penguins forward core for the season. So after the Danton Heinen signing with the Penguins, we have one forward spot open on the fourth line. So I have 5 potential forwards here who could take that spot. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it with the first person being Ryan Pelling. Last season with Montreal, he played 57 games, 9 goals, 8 assists, 17 points with a plus-minus of minus 21. Now, overall with Ryan Pelling, I think that he's the most likely to take that spot, but his plus-minus last season was terrible. But you have to remember here, he played for the Canadiens, who ended up being the worst team in the NHL last year. So, overall, not the greatest in that department, but overall, I think he'd be the best fit right now. Next option I have is Drew O'Connor. Last season with the Penguins, he played 22 games, scoring 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points with a plus-minus of minus 1. With Drew O'Connor, overall a decent season for him while playing on the third, fourth line most of the time. But overall, not that bad stat line with him. He's someone who can play on your penalty kill most of the time, so not that bad. Next up, we have Drake Caggiula. Last season with the Buffalo Sabres. He played 18 games, scoring 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points with a plus-minus of -4. Not the greatest in plus-minus, but it is a very small sample size with him last season. Overall, not the worst, but I do think that Caggiula will start the season in Wilkes-Barre and will most likely be one of the first call-ups this season. All right, next up on the list, I have Josh Archibald. This past season with the Edmonton Oilers, he played 8 games, scoring 0 goals, 1 assist, 1 point, with a plus-minus of -2. Not the greatest for Josh Archibald, but he is really just an extra guy on your team who you just throw in there anytime there's an injury. So the thing with Josh Archibald last season is he was on the 4th line last season with Edmonton, and he got very limited playing time, obviously, with McDavid and Draisaitl. Last player I have on the potential, with stat lines is Radim Zahorna. Last season, 17 games he played, he scored 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points with a plus-minus of +12. Now that stat line right there is amazing for a 4th line guy. Absolutely amazing. Great on a penalty kill. He is fast, he can fly, he has a great shot, and he knows how to pass the puck. Overall, he's the best well-rounded player out of all 5 of these options I've given you, but it's going to be a battle for who gets this spot. Probably the most likely in my eyes would be Radim Zahorna, Drew O'Connor, and Ryan Pelling. I can see Archibald and Drake Caggiula being sent down. Some other options for the Penguins, but very unlikely in that matter, is Valtteri Puustinen in Samuel Poland, or if the Penguins want to go a completely different route and not use any of those guys, sign someone in free agency to a professional tryout, like what I was talking about in the last episode. So if you didn't watch that, you can go ahead and watch that, where I talk about some potential players that the Penguins can sign to a professional tryout. So those are the options I have. I'll put a poll down below, and you can tell me which player do you think can be that 12th forward for the Pittsburgh Penguins this season. So that is going to do it for this episode of the Answers at the Point podcast. And so the next episode will be out on Friday. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys all on Friday.